the issue of money in our politics has reached excessive levels. And Kororo was like a crime scene in terms of at least going by the confessions by the top leaders, including Uhuru, Honorable Mike Mukura, Chris Bariomunsi, and others, about money. Honorable Kadaga.
In fact, Uhuru said he had never seen such sacks of money in one place.
Yeah, maybe because of many sacks, but you know, at one time we saw the president carrying a sack of money to Busoga for the youth. When he put it down, all the money was stolen. So we have ever seen this money. That was the first time I saw money carried in a sack. So for him, he saw many sacks of money in one place. So in NRM, a flag is for hire. It's to the public bidder. It's for auction. Largely, leadership in this country is choking on the choice, the battle of money versus ideas. And if the people of Uganda want democracy, we have to go by the African saying that if a cat wants to become a lion, it has to lose its appetite for rats. So people using money and people choosing where to be because of money are the rats in our democracy. And we need to get rid of them by losing appetite for them in spaces of leadership. So NRM concluded at that low moment, although they are celebrating bringing in new blood, new leaders from across board, and I think SEC got about 70% transition in power, because only the chair and the vice chair retained their seats, all other incumbents are out, and there's fresh blood. Let's see if they make a difference. When it comes to NUP's internal processes, of course, we don't have the opportunity to witness that open participation of the membership because of the process they are using, partly embedded in their constitution, but also how the party goes about it. You hear of meetings to consult people on the ground. I think if they did professional surveys that are clearly determined, get a statistician to go on the ground, use the Kish grid method, and you vet who is popular on the ground, that would be more believable than the stories that could be susceptible to bias. Because if you come to the village where I'm born, I will be very popular. If you go to my local town, I'll be very popular. Yeah, so where do you go and how do you choose who to go? Who organizes who you meet? It could be shrouded in bias. So that's what the problem is. Then too, they say 40% of their marks is on performance. And I wish they are looking at the functions of, for example, Parliament. If you're vetting members of Parliament, what are the functions of Parliament? Because we have gone away from the core functions of Parliament and the credibility of Parliament and a person who qualifies for an MP, we have thrown it under the table in the guise of popularity under people. I want to see parties offering leadership and helping to improve the integrity of Parliament and the quality of democracy in the country, other than claiming to be led by the people.
Job, let me get you in this bit of the conversation. National Unity Platform now. Sarah starts from the ruling party, takes her through what has really gone wrong from the side of the party in regards to their internal politics at play. Now we have the National Unity Platform on the spot in regards to their vetting. Of course, we've seen some people crossing over now simply because they were not given a party ticket or stand as flag bearers. From your point of view, if you are to weigh how these two parties, one, the leading opposition party as of now, and then the leading party, how they vet their leaders, which would you say needs a revisit?
I think for me, both would actually need a revisit.
Okay.
Now, Uganda's laws, of course, provide that political parties must follow democratic principles. The democratic principle that is recognized in terms of electing leaders is secret ballot. Now, when you look at the NRM, quite a departure from what they've been doing in the past. They are using lining up. And clearly you can see the mess that lining up has created for us. In some of the instances, on the one hand, you can argue that this favors the buyers of the votes. Because yesterday, 2 days back, I was at a conference and we had one of the former SEC members who intimated to us that somebody that is now a member of SEC had spent in excess of 27 billion shillings to procure their SEC position. We have heard that also, I mean, from even the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who was also, I think, is he still on SEC? He's former on SEC, I think, who also indicated that somebody had spent 5 billion shillings in excess to procure their seat. Okay? Now, the point is that if someone spends that much money, they need the assurance that indeed the people they have bought are going to vote for them. So I really want to believe that it is people who are spending that kind of money that are actually, in a way, influencing the politics to ensure that the process is so transparent in their favor, such that they can see who is voting for them and who is not. And we have seen this play out even with the president. We know that certain times he has paid members of parliament to take certain positions in parliament. And he has actually been there himself to supervise the election, to see who is going to vote against his position when they have eaten his money. So the point I'm making is that the lining up has created a problem for us, in that it is making, it is helping the buying of elections to actually play out so well. Now, we saw the stalemate during the NRM primaries a month back, whereby some people were lining up behind a certain candidate, and after being counted, they jump to another line. So what kind of politics is that? You have an instance whereby on the voters register, there are 300 delegates. And then the total voter turnout is about 500. So you see the mess. Yeah. So for me still, I'm of the view that even the NRM process actually has to be revisited, because we have seen, even in terms of the elections that they conducted, I think the Youth League representatives, that election was deferred. I don't know whether they've sorted that out for the Entrepreneurs League.
They are yet to vote again.
They are yet to vote again. The Entrepreneurs League, that in a way, I think they finally go to a consensus. Now, in terms of the NUP process, the NUP process has also, of course, been questioned several times, because, I mean, I would argue that it lacks transparency. But also, I sympathize with NUP because they are operating in a very complicated terrain. I can guarantee you that if NUP took the direction that the NRM is taking, or even a secret ballot approach, they would actually be infiltrated, because we know that the NRM is working day and night to make sure that they can dismantle NUP, send them fake people that will actually finally end up having the flags. So I think personally, if I were also in charge of NUP, I would actually make sure that I make the process watertight, such that I can avoid the infiltration. Okay. So for me, in response to your question, I would argue that both processes they both fall below the standards that we expect of them.
Okay, speaking of the National Unity Platform, we do have Agnes Namaganda. Now, Agnes is also aspiring to be a woman member of parliament for Kampala.
Yes.
And which means in the next vetting for the political party, that is the National Unity Platform, she will then also go through the same vetting that the others who are now vying for local government have gone through. Agnes, I want us to get more clear when it comes to how NUP is operating this vetting situation. Maybe my two colleagues can get it from someone, from an insider like yourself. Looking at the situations when it comes to the vetting, how is it? And is it one that you feel as a leader is the right way that it should be done, or you would have wanted it the NRM way?
And thank you so much, viewers, again. I would like to say that what NUP is doing right now may not be acceptable before very many people. And of course they have their reasons. But we also know that when NRM was coming into power in 1986, they used undemocratic means. What I'm trying to say is that when you're getting power, you have to use whatever ways you have to use, because in Museveni challenging, for example, the 1980 election, he should have gone to court. That was the democratic thing to do. But he chose to go to the bush, and the end justified the means. He's here, and we are here with him, and we began off in 1986 by loving him very much. So for me, what I have to say is that when it comes to how we are handling matters right now, like my colleague here has said, we just have to use whatever means we can use to make sure, because for NUP, the intention is regime change, and that is the focus. And I've always said on talk shows like this that if you look at an example of a place like Kampala, which I'm seeking to represent, in the 2021 election, Kyagulanyi polled above 76%. That is, if you're to put it in human terms, it means that maybe for every 10 people you see working in Kampala, about 8 voted regime change. They voted Kyagulanyi, they voted regime change. They want a change in the way things are done in the country. So our focus as the leaders and as a national unity platform, the focus is on regime change. So whatever means we are going to use, whether we are using the methods of the election management committee that are not being that are not acceptable in very many circles, we are going to use those methods to make sure that we get the change that we need. So I want to congratulate those, first of all, who went through the local government nominations through the Election Management Committee of National Unity Platform. And I know that we have so many losers, many are crossing over, but I want us to focus on regime change, because if you start coming on board as an independent, it means that you're losing focus of the reasons why we are here as an outfit, why we are here as National Unity Platform, why we are here pushing for change. I would want to encourage everybody who has not been given the card, the flag bearer card in the local government elections, to just work with those who are, because our focus, unless your focus was different, but if the focus is in regime change, it means there are so many other options you have to work with the party to bring about the change that we are seeking.
And it's at this point that I involve the three of you in what I want us to discuss about here. We are seeing so many politicians crossing over from, let's say, NUP to PFF. Then we have the others crossing over to Mathias Mpuga's party. We are seeing those crossovers. Not so many have moved to the NRM, but this is something that we've seen over time. Every time we're heading into the election season, we are seeing transfers here and there. And then if someone fails to get a party ticket, they go as independent. Is it politics of interest at play, or do we just have leaders who want to serve? Because if you're denied the opportunity, let's say at the NUP party, and then you rush to the PFF, it clearly means there is something there that we do not know of. Is it a politics of interest at play, or is it because some leaders feel they deserve a chance to represent people?
No, if I may go first. Yeah, because you didn't. It's a question to everybody. Yeah, every good political process must have a plan for conflict resolution, for complaints, for petitions, and answering those petitions. NUP has delayed its process of announcing flag bearers, hence creating a stampede for the party. NRM, on the other hand, created room for the petitions. Those 400 petitions that came through the primaries, addressed them. Of course, there is a fallout, there is anger, because our politics, we have vulgarized the democracy. So anybody planning to run has been investing for the last 1 year or so. On the other hand, the laws require people to resign from their jobs. So somebody resigned from their jobs. They've invested for 1 year or more. Some people do it even for 5 years. And on the last minute, now like the local council candidates for NUP, I think the list came out last weekend.
Yeah.
This is 1 week to nomination. I have been in a build-up for 2 years. And 1 week, I have my team, I have my signatures. What do you expect me to do? So they've created a stampede for the party. They should create time for petitions, for complaints, and a time to resolve these complaints, not creating a stampede.
Oh, Job.
Well, I think for me, I will agree with you that, you know, if you look at the tactics that are being used to win elections or to get to different positions, they are a result of the politics of self-seeking, of because politics has now become more like a source of livelihood. And it's really understandable, because if you look even at the unemployment rate in this country, it is so high. We have so many people getting out of the university, they can't get jobs. For the people in business, they will tell you how much they are being choked. If you talk to the guys downtown, many of them, the traders, will tell you that their stock is stuck in containers because URA is slapping all these taxes on them and making the procedure so difficult for them. So getting a job in this country is so difficult, but also doing business is so difficult. And politics is now more like the lucrative business area that we have. Because if you look at a member of parliament earning, I think some are earning in excess of 40 million shillings, ministers, etc., it is the most attractive place, tax-free by the way. If people like me, who are either in civil society or the private sector, were earning 40 million shillings a month, half of that would be going to government in terms of tax. Members of parliament are receiving this money tax-free. So, and on top of that, they also get free money. Every time there's a contentious bill, the president gives them money. They are about 300 million, 100 million, etc. So it is so attractive to be in politics, in that it has become a do or die for a number of people that get in there. So they will do whatever it takes at whatever cost to make sure that they get there. If they fail to get the flag through the party primary process, they will shift to the next available platform that they can use. It's not just about NUP. I mean, you look at the NRM.
It's everywhere.
Sech Kubo, he lost to Rwashande. After losing, he petitioned. When he lost the petition, he said, now I'm coming as an independent. So it's everywhere. Yeah.
And Agnes, you are going for, you're vying for Kampala district member of parliament. God forbid you don't get the party ticket. What next?
First of all, I contested for the Kampala Woman MP seat in 2021 as well.
Okay.
So this is not the first time I'm contesting.
Under the NUP flag?
Under the NUP flag. I participated because, first of all, they called for nominations when we were People Power. And then we shortly after that, we became a party. And I again contested for the same flag as
so you return as an incumbent?
So I stayed in that. What I'm saying is that I stayed in the party in 2021.
You didn't?
I didn't leave the party.
Okay.
So I'm still in the party because the party identifies, like Kaija was saying, it identifies closely with my position as a regime change pusher.
Meaning if the party elects someone else, you will still rally behind that person and stay in the party?
Because I'm for regime change. I'm actually for regime change. And if you look around, we do not have any outfit that is pushing in the right direction.
Okay.
Regarding regime change. We don't have, because even the other parties, we would be looking at a coalition. If indeed we are all pushing for regime change, we'd be looking at parties rallying together to be able to push this agenda that we are looking at. So for me, I'm for regime change, and because like he has said, we have so many issues that are happening, and regime change is what we need. And I know that for my people in Kampala, one thing, regime change, that is the appeal. Okay. We did it for Besigye, we are doing it for Kyagulanyi. We are not doing it because if you look at Kyagulanyi and Besigye, they are two different personalities. But the thing is, we are looking at regime change, and anybody that represents that, we identify with that person. So in that light, even if I do not get the party ticket, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be, and I'm actually looking that because after 2021, I again went back into formal employment.
Okay.
So I've not been around too much, and I've just come back now again to contest. So I'm thinking that after 2026, I'll stay, but maybe I'll be more engaged in the party activities more than how I've been engaged, because I've been a bit busy with other.
Oh, okay.
But then I would also like to comment shortly, by the way, about the NRM primaries and what you were saying about money and all. I grew up reading the Bible, so it interests me that what is playing out, because first of all, in Proverbs 22 verse 7, it says, the rich rule over the poor. Like, once you have money, you may not have the charisma, you may not have the leadership characteristics, but once you have money, money answereth all things.
And colleagues, on that very point, I wonder though, there was a time I was following a conversation online, and Minister Evelyn Anite mentioned something that they as leaders are a reflection of us, the voters.
Yes.
That whatever we are seeing and whatever they are doing is because we put them in power. Now, if you're to look at the political landscape, are we the definition of what we are seeing in our leaders? Are they a reflection of us, or I would like the politicians are playing a politicking kind of game here?
No, I would like to think that we are a reflection, because people are demanding for the money. Did you see the Busoga when
no, because they don't have money.
When Chiwanda went to speak to the delegates in Busoga, they told him clearly that it is about money. If you don't have money, we are not voting for you. Because Chiwanda and his team were saying that patriotism, you see, we need to be patriotic. They said, no, it's not about patriotism. You people go there, and after we've been patriotic down here, we are sending you there to represent us, and then you're not patriotic. You get money because you're in parliament, you keep getting 300 million, 100 million, and then you want us to be patriotic. We are going to vote for money. So I think that is how it played out in the NRM primaries, where it played out like that, and even here in the SEC.
Job,
I actually feel that people who try to trade that narrative around are insulting Ugandans. Because politicians get into those places, they do a lot of bogus things, and then you want to claim that Ugandans are also that bogus. Politicians get to parliament, they trade themselves. Okay, someone has gone to parliament on an opposition platform, and before you know it, they are compromised and bought off. Okay, the people that voted for him or her voted for them because they thought these people are going there to cause change.
They are the regime
and then
changers.
These people go there and they start trading themselves. So for me, I think really it is an insult to even say that, you know, that for us who have no principles, who have no morals, because we have gone to these positions, okay, and we are trading ourselves, we are a reflection of Ugandans. Because you see, and it's unfortunate that even a leader like Evelyn, Anita and others, I've had so many of them saying that, they can actually try to give excuses for whatever mess that they are doing and blame it on Ugandans. Because we have seen Anita, for instance, actually one of the reasons we have the challenge that we have now is because of Anita. She went to Chankwanzi and knelt down and said, you know what, we need this person to be the sole candidate. And is it 10 years or 15 years later, the person is still around and these people are in the trenches trying to fight for regime change. So for me, the point I'm making is that there's a reason as to why you have leaders and the led. The leaders are supposed to be providing direction. So if a leader is the same person who is trading around this kind of silly narrative that, you know, we are doing all these things because we are a reflection of you Ugandans, it's quite a mockery on us.
Sarah, our leaders and the voters here, when you try to weigh, some voters are really intelligent when it comes to electing their leader. They don't even mind if at all the person they elected didn't go through, but they are sure they made the right decision for themselves. But that narrative of us being a reflection of whatever we are seeing now.
You know, I've also had some people in the army, senior, using the same narrative that the army, the soldiers who violate people come from us. So it's a reflection of us.
Of us.
So whenever leaders are cornered, they use the excuse of the people. I did mention that in my first submission, that party leaders must offer guidance to their members, and it's not the other way around. Any leader who claims that they are doing wrong things because of the people, they are a failure as leaders. They have failed to lead. Nobody should ever give an excuse that we have taken this decision because of the people. Then what is your purpose as a leader? Leaders must guide society. The crisis we have now is that we don't have leadership that is interested in genuine democracy. That's the crisis we have as a country.
And now, speaking of local government nominations, colleagues, I would love to interest you in this as well. When you look at how our local governments are performing, majority of the people who are on the grassroots at times are not so much interested in the political play field. That's why I guess many of them even ask for the money. But what are these key factors that are hindering the growth and effectiveness of local governments in Uganda today? I'll start with Kija.
Yeah, I think for me, the first challenge is with the budget allocation to the local governments. If you look at the local governments, a lot of money, of course, is collected through tax and others. It all comes to the central treasury, and then just peanuts of this is sent to the ground. Now, for service delivery, even the monies that are being sent, of course, we know a lot of it is abused along the way. If you look at special programs that are being created, even for poverty alleviation, I mean, we've had all this sloganeering for a long time, Bonawa Gagawale, Myoga, PDM, etc. If you do an audit, even right now of PDM, a couple of them, the people that you talk to, you realize that this money is not actually reaching the intended beneficiaries. There's a lot of fake reporting. Most recently, I had an interesting experience with one of my, a carpenter that I usually work with to do for me some work. And he told me that in his location, 2 days prior, he was actually supposed to deliver something for me. And he said, I can't deliver it because the president is coming to visit my washing bay. And so he took so long to deliver, more than a week.
It is the money economy.
Yeah, more than a week. So I asked this guy, so after a week when I got him back, I asked him, so why did you take so long? Your phone was off. He said, no, my phone was taken, it was confiscated because the president was at my washing bay. The security took it away, but it appears there was a connivance with some people that were operating at my washing bay. And asked him, so why was he visiting? And said, people say I'm a PDM beneficiary. And asked him, so are you indeed a PDM beneficiary? And he said, no, some people got money. On the day when the president was visiting, they came and showcased my washing bay as the beneficiary. And because the president was going to give more money on that day, when the money came to be shared, I was arrested. So I told, and he said, I'm going to chase these guys away. So that is the story of PDM and resources that are going down to the grassroots. So you realize that actually the intended beneficiaries are not receiving what they are supposed to receive in terms of the resources that are supposed to go down for service delivery and even poverty alleviation. So I think for me, based on that, you'd actually understand why citizens are not so enthusiastic in terms of engaging in the local government politics. But also, you realize that even the manner in which the elections, the electoral roadmap is usually organized for the local government elections, it's quite disadvantageous to the elections, in that we have a lot of hype towards the presidential and parliamentary, and in fact you see it even in terms of the voter turnout. And then for the local governments, there's minimal participation because these elections are usually organized on a different day. And for me, I think if we were to look at reforms, even in terms of how these elections should be conducted, we should create a situation whereby either these elections are all happening on the same day, such that we can have effective citizen participation even in the local government elections.
And speaking of local government nominations 2025, please do note that they kicked off yesterday and they will be running to the 5th of September. Now, those particular nominations are for district and city chairpersons, inclusive of which Lord Mayor and councillors, including special interest groups. But then, starting on the 8th to the 10th, we shall be having municipality and city division chairpersons and councillors going in for nominations. We're returning with more of this bit of the conversation after the break. And this time around, we need to look at how the Electoral Commission is handling the election process ahead of 2026. Stick around.
Instead of MPs.
The heat I'm feeling in studio here is because it's the political season, really. And you should be expecting these conversations and more leaders, accountability, transparency, governance, and whatnot. The video footage we've been getting before we returned is from the nominations in Lira City. We've got some members from the National Unity Platform that were nominated, and then the last lady was representing the National Resistance Movement Party. So the conversations on the nominations are still ongoing. The build-up is also taking center stage. What I also didn't notify you, though, is that between 11th to the 24th of September, this very month, sub-county, town and municipal division chairpersons and councillors will also be nominated. So the location nominations are currently being held at gazetted district, city or county nomination centers, depending on the office sought. And the exercise, according to the Electoral Commission, is moving on fair and square, though there were some technical glitches. Colleagues, the Electoral Commission, this is a time where the chairperson of the Electoral Commission gets into the hot seat now and then, before this, the media, in the spotlight, until the final results will be announced come January, Feb, and whatnot. Looking at our preparedness for the elections this year, starting from maybe the early elections, if we are to refer to, let's say, 2011, 2016, 2021, 2026 that is coming up, has there been any change? I'll start with you, Sarah. Has there been any change in how the Electoral Commission is gearing up for the elections, the general elections?
I have observed elections in Uganda 3 times. I am worried.
For 2026?
Yes.
Why?
There is zero vote education going on, and we know the purpose of vote education: to sensitize new voters, to calm down the political emotions during campaigns, but also guide and remind citizens of the several roles of each of the duty bearers and the roles of the citizens. So that education is zero, is nowhere. The second issue that is worrying me is the way Electoral Commission keeps changing the roadmap. Electoral Commission has had 5 years to prepare for this election, because the duty of Electoral Commission, which is a permanent entity and a constitutional body in our structure, the duty of the Electoral Commission is to conduct elections. Once you conclude the election and a new president is sworn in, the next electoral cycle starts. So they've had 5 years to plan for the work they are doing. Of course, we've not had any kind of reforms in this. This is the only cycle, by the way. Even if reforms have been a bit cosmetic, but this is the only electoral cycle where there are zero reforms, policy reforms. The Supreme Court did order that for us to be clear on use of technology in elections, there must be regulations, so that everybody knows the do's and don'ts. For 2 petitions, since the 2016 petition, Electoral Commission claimed they did not have a backup that would prove how many people actually turned up to vote, because the technology they used could not provide that. If you are using technology in elections, the stakeholders must know what are we using technology for, what areas, and what is expected. Nobody knows this. There is a rumor that we are going to use biometric identification of voters. I have not seen any adverts of the procurement process for those biometric machines. I'm yet to see any public adverts the procurement process of Electoral Commission? Are they advertising or it is secret procurement? They've kept changing the dates for nomination, and as the roadmap stands now, the district leaders have more time to campaign than presidents. Presidents have the country to cover, to seek for votes, but they have the limited time to campaign. Does it make sense? They have rigged the process.
Oh, Job, before the rigging here, let's look at how the Electoral Commission is performing this very year compared to the previous elections, because we expect changes every other year. We expect maybe some reforms, we expect better performance and delivery in the next elections, and Sarah here says she's worried.
I think for me, I need to mention, and probably this is the first time I'm saying this on the Electoral Commission, that I really sympathize with them. I sympathize with the Electoral Commission because no one believes in them. Even the appointing authority doesn't believe in the Electoral Commission.
How so?
Yeah, because, I mean, the Electoral Commission has been bashed time and again by the opposition and civil society, their strategic partners. Right now, the biggest critic of the Electoral Commission is the president that appoints it. Back in the day, we were hearing the president saying that he was rigged by over 1 million votes by the National Unity Platform. I'm told actually that recently in Eastern Uganda, the figure has gone up to 2.7 million votes. Now, if an Electoral Commission can make the president lose 2.7 million votes, that clearly, and the president gets to know of it, and he keeps you in power, it means that there's something that is going on somewhere. So I think for me, the Electoral Commission finds itself between a rock and a hard place. Sarah is talking about preparedness in terms of even the monies that, you're talking about technology. Technology needs money. The EC has been asking, they did their budget long ago of what they needed. The last we checked, they had been allocated less than 60% of the resources that they needed to conduct its different activities. The money was also released late. And up to now, we are still talking about procurement of technology. By now, we should actually be knowing what kind of technology are we going to be using. I mean, we are talking about using technology, transmission of election results digitally. But as we speak, we are not sure whether there will be internet during the next elections because of the precedent that has been set in the past. The second thing that I want to talk about in terms of the Electoral Commission, and I think for me, it comes from their own failures. The Electoral Commission keeps saying that, you know, civil society are our strategic partners on voter education, observation, etc. I know of civil society organizations credible that applied to be accredited for voter education, for election monitoring over a year back. To date, they have not received their accreditation. Some of them, if I mention the names here, you'd be so surprised. The EC has actually declined accrediting them. They are telling them, I heard from somewhere that they had scored so highly, but you know, there's just this one thing that you've not done, and in that regard, you're not being accredited. So for me, the mere fact that the EC is actually failing to realize who even their strategic partners are and value them, and fail to accredit them, is making them be agents of their own failures. Finally, Sarah, you're talking about reforms. Yes, we don't have reforms as yet, and we know that in the past we've always had piecemeal reform, but also insignificant, which do not have any serious effect on the electoral management process. But I need to mention that 2 days back, yesterday but one, I was at a conference, the Women's International Peace Center Conference, I think, Sarah, also where you are, and the representative of the EC said something really shocking, that they are still expecting reforms. Okay? So as we speak, there will be reforms.
When will they implement them?
As we speak, there will be reforms, at least from what I heard from them.
There's enough time to implement.
No. They assured us because we asked, so when will these reforms be implemented? And they said, just wait, there will be reforms.
And from the opposition side, Agnes here, Job mentioned something to do with how the appointing authority is also not that happy with the Electoral Commission based on the fact that he lost his votes in CAM 2020. in the last elections, rather. On the side of the opposition, how ready do you think the Electoral Commission is come 2026?
First of all, I want to mention that when it comes to the presidential elections, we don't have so much hope, because first, the mere fact that the Electoral Commission is appointed by the president or one of the people that is running in the same race is the appointing authority of the Electoral Commission. And we hoped that there would be a reform to that, and it hasn't been implemented. And we are saying that we don't even know which reforms they are which reforms they are suggesting that they are going to implement. That one alone means that we do not have any faith in this Electoral Commission, much as we are running in the election. So there are simple things even. The fact that they have said people are not allowed to use cameras. Previously, people were using cameras and we would see ballot stuffing, we would see election mismanagement, but now they are saying that as someone comes to a polling station, they will not be allowed to use cameras, you will not be allowed to use whether your phone. Actually, I think one of the reforms, I don't know, I'm just thinking ahead, may it be that we are not going to be allowed to walk into the polling stations with phones. I'm expecting that personally. I'm expecting that. So we can see that on the side of opposition, much as all national platform, much as we are participating in this election, we know that we do not have a lot to expect from this Electoral Commission. Our constitution, for example, wasn't changed as national unity platform. So those are some of the things. We are participating to maintain the vibes around regime change, but we do not have all that much expectations from the Electoral Commission come 2026. So we don't consider them that much. I would like to say that.
And for this particular question, I will start with you as we are beating up with our conversation. We're heading to the polls, 2026. The nominations are already up and running, of course, starting from the local government level. What should the voters be prepared for, and how best can the leaders serve their voters? And what next, really, for the candidates who may not make it in the elections?
We are, as we head to 2026, for the opposition, maybe where we can have hope as opposition is for us to guard our own vote.
Okay.
Guard our own vote. We are going to vote, but under the protest vote, we are saying that members of the public should make sure we are guarding the vote. Should make sure that we are present when the votes are being counted. So we should be more proactive than we were in 2021. That is the only place where we have hope when it comes to the election of 2026. Otherwise, there is not so much hope. And I would like to inform all those that, because we are looking at a different way possibly of bringing about the change that we need as the opposition. So for the people who are participating in this election that may lose, maybe at MP level, local government level, there's still a lot of hope. Although, like I just said previously, the fact that there's a lot of unemployment, there's a lot of oppression, even people who are having businesses, business people, there's a lot of participation, the taxes are too high. Okay. So we have people that are forced into politics, and when they lose, I believe, you see so many suicides. We always see that.
By the way, I hope that your party also knows that people are misinterpreting the protest vote term as it is. We've been running some interviews where some people think by saying protest vote, it means you should not turn up for the election. No. I think that is where the voter sensitization needs to be very...
It happened with the youth elections. They stayed away. In Buganda, Nupu was defeated, where they have majority support the base of young people.
Kija, your parting shots.
Well, for me, I think as we head into this election period, we really need to be to try as much as possible, especially for those in charge, to build citizen confidence, to assure us that if we participate in this election, we shall be safe. Like Sarah is saying, Nupi is talking about a Gali. The Gali has been translated into something else. The ghetto, the other day, I was watching news on NTV, and you had an interview with someone who is leading some ghetto gang. And these people had caused mayhem actually in the NRM primaries. Now, if they could cause that kind of mayhem in the NRM primaries,
what will happen
the level of violence,
elections? What
will they do to the opposition during the general elections? So for me, and these people, interestingly, the news was here. They were saying they report to Afande Damulira. So for me, I think that is quite unfortunate because Afande Damulira is part of the military, but also part of the police. So the military and the police should actually come and build our confidence that indeed, when we get into these elections, we are not going to have goons calling themselves ghetto whatever, coming to cause mayhem on citizens, such that citizens can peacefully participate in these elections.
All right. Sarah, your parting shots. I would also love you to make a mention on the Egali kind of thing that is taking over in regards to campaigns these days.
Yeah, I think the people with a guard for violence is the NRM ghetto structure. It's a replacement of Border 2010. The commander, unfortunately, is the head of crime intelligence. We have seen what they are capable of when the president came to pick nominations. Even the former head of CID was beaten up with her child, everything robbed. And nobody questioned Afande Damrira on what he was doing. He works directly with the president. So that's the structure for election violence in these elections. And we are also likely to see if the police does not take charge of security for elections as required in the electoral laws. We are also likely to see a repeat of Kawempe violence by the army, including the anti-terrorism group in Kampala Metropolitan, where NRM is unpopular. So we are likely to see part of the hotspot areas that we are monitoring includes the Kampala Metropolitan and the likelihood of the army repeating what they did in Kawempe. But most importantly, Electoral Commission needs to up their game. At the last consultative meeting we had, they said their budget is fully funded. Now, it's not a question of money. So citizens need to task them on why there is no voter education if their budget is fully funded. Because the duty to conduct voter education under Article 65.3 is for the Electoral Commission to design and implement voter education programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there you have it. The view, our build-up to the 2026 general elections is way underway. And we shall continue having these engagements with quite a number of guests to hear from their side and pick their opinions in regards to our preparedness for the 2026. My guests this morning have had Agnes Namaganda. Agnes is from the National Unity Platform. She's an aspiring Member of Parliament for Woman Member of Parliament?
Yes.
For Kampala District. Thank you again for joining us, Agnes. Greetings and regards to the people at NUP. And then we've also had Job Kija. Job is an analyst, a political analyst, a gentleman who is very keen on policies and governance. Thank you again for joining us, Job. And we've also had the Executive Director for the Center for Constitutional Governance, Sarah Birete. Again, Sarah, thank you very much for being part of our conversation this morning. She's also key on politics, governance and policies. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. Have the best of the day, and we shall be giving you all the updates from the nomination centers with our correspondents across the country, starting with the bulletins at 1, that is NTV at 1, then NTV at Kaungezi, followed up with NTV tonight later in the evening, and on the spot with Patrick Kamara to have more conversations on the turn-up of these nominations as well. Have yourselves a good morning and a good day.